Hey, welcome to episode 2 of the Balaclava Boys from the Field. My name's Doodles. What's your name?
My name is Let's Do That Again because there was like tons of carrier bag crinkle all over it.
That's alright. That's true.
Yeah. No, I don't mean like restart it because you can just click on the start of the recording, can't you?
Yeah,
We can just start
3,
wherever.
2, 1, action. I'm sending the whole thing in.
You're just gonna leave it completely
leave all of
fucked.
it in.
Yeah, why not? Alright, it's
Alright,
pretty representative.
Let's do it again. Welcome to episode 2 of the
No, stop. Welcome to...
take 2.
Episode 9 of the...
Oh, yeah, episode 9 of how many inches is Luigi's dick?
Of Balaclava claws.
Oh, yeah, Balaclava with Sam Hamdan.
No, seriously, welcome to the podcast.
Have you heard about...
Wow, we went
Let's
there
cut that
already.
bit off. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's just cut. I just want to loosen up. Let's just get the elephant out of the room.
Fair enough, mate.
Yeah, okay. I'm probably going to cut that bit off, to be fair. For real. Welcome to episode 2 of Balaclava Boys from the Field.
Yeah, you're never gonna know what we said.
It was
there,
fucked.
It was pretty bad.
fucked.
You know, we got to loosen up the mental state a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to talk about Archer. Have you seen that? Have you seen that new series of Archer? It's just finished.
Yeah. So I think I watched it with you briefly.
You watched the beginning of it, didn't you?
We were pretty fucked though.
Were we?
Well, yeah, because they, as far as I remember, it's like they've done it in a sort of a 1950s.
Yeah, so 40s.
Detective,
yeah,
or 40s,
it's
sorry.
just after World War II, I think.
Yeah, sort of like that sort of detective style, you know, very noir.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
It's in memory of the voice actor for Woodhouse, because Woodhouse dies in the series, but it's because he the actor who voice acted him, I don't remember his name.
Seriously?
He's a famous actor, yeah, very famous character actor. He was in Oblivion and stuff like that, in lots of video games, TV shows, cartoons.
Wow, I didn't know
films. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but I recognise his face. But they did it at the end of the series. It's quite a short one, 8 episodes. They say in memory of this guy, and that's why he's not in it anymore.
I have to admit, I really like Archer.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
think it's a very clever, like the writing.
Yeah.
I think particularly is like very impressive and humorous.
And you get used to the animation as well. I wasn't really massively into it at the beginning, I have to say, but.
But basically, it's one of these shows that I sort of got into a half-hearted way of watching.
Oh yeah. To start watching, you're not like, let's watch Archer. You're like, okay, let's watch a bit of that.
Well, I don't know if you're anything like me, and maybe this is just something that I do, but because I use a two-monitor setup for my computer, I'll very commonly be like watching a TV series, but sort of doing something else at the same time.
Yeah, I tend to just watch it.
Yeah, I have to admit, but I only do this when it's like not really too bothered, right? And I just want some background noise, and I want to dip in and out of it, and my main focus will be on like the other monitor, right? And Archer kind of fell into that category for me at some point. I watched it really seriously for about like two series, and sort of like 2 or 3 series maybe, and I got my head around all the characters. You know, thought they were really interesting.
Which ones?
And funny. So I like Lana.
Lana's pretty funny. Pam's great.
Yeah, Pam's amazing actually. What's the ginger-haired girl? Who's a complete psycho.
Great, man. Yeah.
She's like really sexually forward all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's like a massive masochist.
She's totally damaged.
Yeah, really weird rich girl.
To be honest, I think all the characters are actually.
I don't remember what her name is.
Is it Cyril as well?
Cyril is just a browbeaten guy. Yeah.
It's basically just for cuck, you know.
He is, but it turns out he's got a massive dick. I don't know if you. Oh, sorry, that's actually a joke from.
No, I've seen that. Yeah. He's got like this enormous.
We're going straight back to that joke. Usually, I'm the one who makes those, but you just pick the most awkward character and you say they've got a massive dick, and it's just immediate comedic genius. Like they're on that formula.
The big dick formula.
Yeah, it is like just take the most, like the kind of. Yeah, I don't know. It's just what you wouldn't expect, I guess. That's why Archer's so.
I think it's for delay as well, you know.
Because he's like, wait. Suddenly he feels kind of inferior to this guy who's just been shitting on the whole time. He's like, well, you're still awkward, so I'm still going to dump you.
Yeah, exactly, and it's for a considerable amount of time as well. Like, that character is a bitch for essentially like 3 seasons.
And he still is. Yeah, it hasn't changed that. It's just
they give this
joke of his anatomy.
Well, it's this dimension to him that's like inherently like just really masculine, and it's like pretty smart. But no, I haven't actually watched it. So
it's good actually. Yeah, because I don't know, put it off and let a few episodes build up, and then watched it and just binged it like the final 3 last night, and it's very satisfying. You don't realise
no plot
when you
spoilers
watch
for anyone listening.
Yeah, not really. No, it's just when you watch several in a row, you realise that a lot of the beginnings like refer to themselves, like it starts in the same way with the same like catchphrase and stuff, and you wouldn't realise that watching it week by week. It's quite fun. Yeah, it's clever.
You can see that there's a formula to it in a certain sense.
Exactly. Have you got that bar of doom, by the way?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Let me pass it on over. Let me wet my whistle.
Yeah, you should, man.
What do you think about sort of the Netflix binging culture that's developed in the last 2 or 3 years, if that, like maybe 4?
Basically, we've just had to equate it with sex to kind of put a lid on the fact that like everyone's boring as fuck.
Everyone likes laying in bed. It's like, yeah. What's your hobby? Oh, I like laying down and watching moving images.
I want to Netflix and chill, which basically means that me and my wife of 75 years lay in beds on the opposite sides of the house and just kind of limply wanked ourselves.
Cheeky Gary from down the road, 78-year-old like ex-miner who's like, me and Deborah.
This is life in 2052.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I sent her an emoji and it was rather suggestive.
Oh man, that film was like fucking garbage. Like,
that emoji
Christ.
one. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It's like I have to click on this. Its existence is essentially clickbait.
What are they calling that film? What was it? I can't remember.
The Emoji Movie, or something like that.
The Emoji Movie.
The movie. I think.
So yeah, essentially the whole premise of this film is that like you're following the lives of emoticons that live inside of your phone, which is just like even saying that out
loud. Have the
loud.
same face all day long because it's real life.
It's just like what a garbage.
It's awful. Who came up with this premise?
Yeah, it's so shit as well. It's like
they just looked at this demographic. They were like, we don't have enough existentially terrifying shit that like 20-year-olds are going to take a fuck ton of LSD, go and watch in the cinema. How do you go deaf? Just question their existence. It's like we're a marketing team and we want to orchestrate more school shootings in 15 years' time. So we're just going to raise a bunch of kids like with this film, this monstrosity, and try and make the world a worse place.
I feel like the immediate thing that I gathered from watching that advert, which was really just unentertaining and vapid anyway, but all it basically reeked of to me was like thinly veiled identity politics immediately, because it's like
do you reckon? Maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like
they all yeah.
Cool. It's like I represent this face, you know, and he's like talking to his
and
like
he's like,
dad.
I want to be everyone because I'm not always the best.
He's like, why do I have to be this face? I want to be a different face.
That's true. Yeah,
you know, and it's like, no, you were born this way. you were born to be a meth face.
Yeah, it's like the whole that's what it's, man. Let's talk about Bill Nye the Science Guy, fucking ice cream. Yeah, it's like everyone has to be vanilla. No, I want to be triple double.
That was
cringeberry. And it's like, what the fuck? Who wrote this?
The only thing I'm grateful to Bill Nye about watching that scene is that it basically gave me instant six-pack. It's like I cringed so hard that I gained abs. It's like I cringed myself into like a fucking, you know, Men's Health model fucking looking body by watching that video. It was it was just disgraceful.
You ended up being
it's like I'm saying, even if I was a supporter of the message that they were conveying there, which I'm not really, you know, I disagree with it on a lot of levels. But even if I was a supporter of that, I would have found that embarrassing to watch, because the lyrics, like the lyricism, it was like so unnecessarily vulgar.
Oh, that's the other one, not the because that's the song with someone from fucking ex-girlfriend or something.
Oh man, well I've completely misinterpreted what you said.
Do you remember the ice cream one where it's like it's vanilla ice cream and he's trying to convince the other ice cream cones to...
fuck me, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
as well.
That's the one. That's very similar actually to the emoji thing. It's like
they were very
everyone needs to be vanilla.
Closely tied together, weren't they?
Identity politics.
Yeah, I think that actually plays after that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's awful, isn't
it? Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of here's some ice cream having an orgy, you know, and
it's like, get in the bowl, nut. Yeah, it's like, see you in the bowl, and like this pistachio fucking ice cream like winks at the camera. It's like, do you think anyone in the world actually just went and stuck their dick in like a big fucking tub of Ben and Jerry's afterwards? Like, wow, this is a new fetish.
Pistachio's really doing it for me these days.
I thought adult baby driver fetish was where I ended, but actually it's where I began.
You gotta get my ass cold dick in there. The vein train's coming to Icetown.
It's like necrophilia, just a bit more tasty.
It's got a little bit more class, you know. You should see, what is it? I can't remember that website that everyone uses, but...
I don't know, I need to tell you, so I'll be putting this podcast, I'll be attaching it to my CV when I send job applications from now on, you know.
Alright, check this shit out.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a very healthy private life.
It's only high quality conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of, I believe, I do a lot of advocacy online. I've got quite a big following. I've got like 3 subscribers.
I could literally fill a living room full of people like who listen to me about that shit.
I'm basically a prophet.
Fuck that. It's the I'm the son of God.
Yeah, but seriously though, I am camming at the moment, and they do call me the second coming because
you always get 2 blows.
Oh my God, yeah. All right.
Alright, well let's swiftly move on from that topic.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good though. That's all true. I've got to get the elephant out of the room.
It's
it's fight that elephant.
Oh fuck.
It's pretty funny though, because like, yeah, I don't know why are people so rude to the elephant though. It's kind of like just address the elephant. You can't invite someone around your house and then not talk about them or not talk to them.
Are you talking about if we actually
had a physical elephant in the room?
Yeah, like hypothetically we invited an elephant around.
Yeah, it's like the dragon, the Jordan Peterson's Chaos Dragon. It's like you have a little dragon and you just ignore it. It's like, he is your guest. Like, you can at least make him feel at home. Put your feet up. Hello, Chaos.
Hey, Chaos, how you doing? Yeah. Take a seat, put your feet up, you know. Would you like a cup of tea? I am Chaos. Well,
that's amazing.
I think I really like that metaphor actually. Like that's the reason that half the thing like remembered it. Yeah, I had no idea about this. You know, it's
who's the
it's basically like
who's the god?
It's I can't remember if it was a Sumerian or
it's Sumerian.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, the god, the
called,
one who's basically voted up to all of the others. Jeez, I can't remember.
I swear his name is like a black metal band. It's not Sarpanitan. It's no, I'm being stupid. It's I
have no idea.
It starts with an S, I think. It's like there's a really famous black metal band with the same name that I don't really listen to, but
it'll come back to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that I can remember the story around him anyway. He's this supreme deity who's voted up by all of the other ones in order to fight Tiamat.
Yeah, he says vote for me and all.
Yeah, you know, I'll basically go up there and kick the shit out of that dragon.
Do you think his whole ploy was basically there was a really successful god before? And he was
there's a whole bunch of them, you know, it's like a pantheon, I think.
No, yeah, I'm trying to, sorry, I'm setting up a really shit joke, so just bear with me. You know, imagine if there was another god who was very successful at being portrayed as hard, and that had died recently, and you just happen to be the same gender as that god, and you said, I'll be tough, and I'm going to give us a strong and stable country if you vote for me. Nah, that was shit.
Just keep saying strong and stable over and over again.
Yeah.
That is...
Hey, we've steered ourselves into what we were going to talk about.
Somehow we found our way into British politics.
Cool.
Oh, me, oh my.
Okay, this is where the podcast really starts, boys and girls. Strap yourselves in. It's quality material from here.
The British general election has been very interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
Marduk, yeah. Well, that is.
Sorry,
thank you. That was really bugging me, to be honest. I was getting a bit like, this is going to be ruined. This is going to be pranging out about this stupid thing.
Yeah, no, Marduk. Yeah, sorry to like veer off on that, but I just needed to. The supreme god who fought Tiamat, the Dragon of Chaos, was Marduk. Yeah. Yeah. Really interesting. But,
and he can see through time and. Basically, I think people should just listen to Jordan Peterson, not us trying to say what Jordan Peterson says, because he's much better at it.
He's far more eloquent at describing his own theories. Surprise, surprise. Or his own ideas. But yeah, I don't know. We could do with a Marduk in the general election. Definitely. I think
if we had a real studio, I would just get a soundboard and do a Jordan Peterson soundboard. He's like, sort yourself out, buddy.
That would be sick, actually. I would be well up for making that. You know, that would be like a whole day in itself, just taking a sample.
It'd be pretty funny, yeah.
It would be genius. Bucko.
Exactly.
Strap yourself in, bucko.
It's chaos.
It's no joke, man.
It's no joke.
Yeah, it's no
great.
joke, man. Yeah, he's got so many like little quirks, little idiosyncrasies that are actually like
very endearing.
Yeah, super endearing. That is the word I was looking for, and I think that's why people respect him so much because, he's not only
incredibly intelligent, yeah, but he's not.
He's a titan, man. There's no doubt about that. Like when you listen to him, the clarity of thought, that is it's of the highest order. It's of the highest magnitude. This is the way he describes it. He says he's essentially just thinking out loud, and that he's not delivering things in a pre-planned way, and that actually talking through it is his way of organising his thoughts.
Yeah, it makes sense though.
That's why he's always saying sort yourself out. He's like, the only way you can do that is basically by writing or by speaking, and in that way you discover more about your own thought process, and you can coherently organise it. So his lectures, according to him, are mostly just him thinking out loud. So to hear if that's true, I mean, the clarity of his thought structure is just so
he's very
good.
Intelligent, extremely intelligent. Yeah. And he does have the most coherent, to me anyway, the most coherent and interesting view on Christianity I've ever heard.
Religion in general, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. He has a very... It's easy to look at a lot of this stuff generally and think it's kind of dumb, because most people who try and talk about it, who aren't just private, I don't know if they are dumb or they just kind of simplify things a lot,
Well, that's what we do. That's what we do as animals, is we tend to simplify. It gives us a sense of understanding, and it makes us feel secure in our position, and people like to feel that way. Feeling like you don't know things basically leaves you in an uneasy mental state. Most people are resistant to, so they'll create a narrative in order to patch the gaps.
I think I need to read the Gulag Archipelago as well. I've been thinking about that for a while.
Yeah, that's on my book list because he just spoke about it so much, and
I know, yeah.
It's like a very personal and internal to the communist regime of the era as well perspective, particularly from those camps, which must have been horrifying.
Exactly, yeah. Apparently, some of the book he doesn't pull his punches. Solzhenitsyn just describes them in a way that it's quite harrowing to read. Apparently,
yeah.
It's just like you can't just sit through it and just read it in one go. Oh, do you want to light it? Or,
cheers.
You might have one in your in the jacket pocket as well. You should have a couple in there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Basically bought 10 and then just put them throughout the house. It's like a really shit life hack. It's like buy cheap lighters on Amazon and then just put them everywhere in your house, and then you'll never miss them.
You'll always have one.
Yeah.
Keep
Until
them in
you
your
lose
socks.
all of them, and 6 months later do the same thing. It's like £1.90 and you get 10 of them, and they work fine. So it's like.
But going back to the Gulag Archipelago, rather than lighters. Yeah, I heard that as well. I heard that it was a pretty seriously harrowing account of the regimes and how the party worked, and you get an insight into, like, for instance, like people who were very diligent members of the party who ended up in these camps, and they were unable to reconcile essentially the reality they found themselves in with the ideology that they so staunchly believed in. Yeah, ultimate cognitive dissonance. It's like having a total break from reality.
It's
essentially
killing you. Yeah, you are.
You're being murdered by the thing that you love.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to... It's like you're literally dying for your cause, but not in a heroic...
Yeah, you're not a martyr.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not martyrdom. It's your... you've just died an unnecessary death. And consequently, I guess, it means if as an ideologue, you've lived an unnecessary life. You're just in the way of the machine that you helped build.
Yeah, which is awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about that. You get mown down by it, and you get consumed by it, and you're consumed as a criminal, as someone who was.
I built a car and I pushed it down a hill, and I ran in front of it and ran myself over.
Threw
myself in front of it.
It's worse than that. It's like age-old mythological tales in which people create monsters that become their undoing, and this actually goes back to, like, Jordan Peterson's points about religion, is that they're archetypes, these stories, they're like patterns that stand the test of time and that teach, like, a moral understanding of the world that will always be relevant and essentially timeless.
Yeah, it's funny if you think of a lot of these traditions, like moral tradition and religion. Some of history is just like the summation. It's kind of like this weird memory of all the horror that humanity's been through. Yeah, like we have been in hell. Like this exists on this earth. We've been there, and we can still be there if we look for it.
Definitely.
If you follow the wrong path, you can find yourself there, and it exists, and it's true, it's real, and that's kind of a lot of these totalitarian states. That is hell. You've created hell on earth. It's like that's fucking awful.
Yeah, exactly. It's a total loss of freedom and living in constant anxiety and fear, and people spying on each other and stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like North Korea is actually a good representation of it. People joke about it, and we poke fun of it.
There's people eating their own kids there and stuff. It's the stories that come out.
It's pretty seriously fucked. And I was listening to this guy recently who's been out there, and he's been writing a book on North Korea as well. And he's a pretty interesting guy, because he was talking about the fact that it's standard over there essentially for people at the end of the day to like. Oh, no.
Oh, that is also a thing. Yeah. Sorry, I thought that's what you were going.
No, I didn't know that. But to report on each other basically.
Oh, wow.
Like literally, like file the report about like their peers, who they work with, or like who they spent time with that day.
Legit,
And they do it daily. It's like part of their routine. And you can get in trouble for not reporting on people enough. So it's like, think about that. Think about how different society would be if you lived under that. It's like,
it's pretty messed up, isn't it?
That is
in our cultures, snitches get stitches, but over there, non-snitches get stitches. Here, non-snitches get non-stitches, which is actually quite logical if you think about it.
Non-snitches get non-stitches.
Yeah, because snitches get stitches, so non-snitches get non-stitches. I guess some non-snitches also get stitches, but...
Well, that was like a total headfuck to listen to, but...
I was trying to spin you out.
Like, what? But, no, because like...
Snitches get stitches.
Snitches don't get stitches in North Korea.
No, yeah, what I'm saying is non-snitches get stitches.
You're not saying anything, mate.
No, non-snitches get stitches. So if you don't snitch on people, then you get stitches.
What are you saying?
So basically you get stabbed by the government if you don't report on other people. So if you're not a snitch, which is a non-snitch, you get stitches.
What if they don't stab you?
The stab is a metaphor.
Literally anything else.
It's a biblical tale. It speaks
it's
of,
an archetype.
It speaks of hell on earth. It is an archetype. So stitches is a symbol for anything that can go poorly in your life, including being arrested and sent to the gulag.
I wonder when stitches got invented, actually. Because it's like...
Yeah, you'd have to think like
I have
3,000 years ago. I don't know. It's kind of like you just hold those bits of skin together and it'll be all right. It's like okay.
Would they have had that technology? I know in
the cavemen would be holding the cut strap like.
In medieval Europe, they used to basically
feel it, like get a sword or something and just
cauterize. That was pretty common.
But the problem is you get a horrific burn that can get infected anyway. So it's like
and
you probably just die of an awful disease and it'd be like really painful. Yeah.
Speaking of awful diseases, like what do you think of Theresa May then?
I'm not sure what's wrong with her, but I probably... if I had some gloves on, I'd probably take a sample and smell it and see. Probably smells alright. I just want to, it's kind of like...
I'd use my tweezers
to
sample the beast.
Imagine if someone with a really weird... specific fetish and with who was kind of awful, shrunk you down, like turned you into a cat, but you still had all your human faculties, and basically stole all of Theresa May's old sweaters and forced you to just like make your bed in them.
I guarantee you that is something that I cannot imagine.
That's a fetish. Just look it up.
Oh man, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to know if it's true, because there'll be some sick fuck out there doing it. It's like it's the world we live in.
I'm manufacturing this like Theresa May smell. No, yeah. So sorry. We should talk about. I guess that makes sense to talk about something real, and not some weird fucked up story.
With Theresa May's sex perfume.
Yeah, I'm just like
it's an aphrodisiac, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
You may or may not like it.
GHB, how about this Theresa May's on swear? You just smell that. It makes you want to go to bed and you go straight into REM, so you get super productive.
Boris Johnson uses it every night.
Yeah, that's why he's not getting enough.
He's just rubbing it all over his man tits,
That's why he sits so high all the time. He's just tripping off it.
He's wearing his suit. He's still got that fucking like parachute chassis around him, like when you carved up into the air. By the time he's just like
got a big, like, oversized suit on top of it, walking around like with a massive wedgie.
Just walking around with this huge wedgie in his bedroom, spraying Theresa May's like fucking sex.
His ass has got trench foot, man. It looks like World War I trenches down there. It's like what?
mud and blood, basically.
Yeah, it's like this is from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure Boris's ass has seen a few helmets.
You know, whenever they have like footage of the white helmets pulling kids from the rubble, that's basically Boris Johnson's ass crying.
Oh, that's disgusting. That's fucking evil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they are fake though, so it's alright. They are just a cover for awful quote-unquote rebel groups to do what they want.
That is pretty fucked. Do you believe that then? Do you kind of subscribe to that view?
No, I don't really believe anything that comes out of Syria, to be honest.
Yeah, because that's what I think.
I don't believe any of it, but I think it could be true, but I think it could also be bullshit. It's the problem is that people get caught and arrested for manufacturing scenes of carnage. You know, people getting arrested in Egypt and stuff for it. For setting up fake scenes depicting the white helmets and stuff. Like, this stuff is extremely...
Dubious.
but contentious on all sides, because the thing is, you can make the argument that you might want to pretend to fake a scene and then get caught. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of it too deeply, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well,
they stand to
it's
gain.
theatre. It's theatre, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Everyone stands to gain from portraying reality in this extremely... portraying reality that pushes their worldview and their agenda in a situation which is very, very delicate, sensitive, that doesn't have free movement of the press. They can, like, every party is kind of free to do as they please. So you look at the accounts of, let's say, the official Russian account of, let's say, with Assad and the chemical weapons. You know, they have their line, which is obviously horseshit, and then the Western world kind of has their line, but then you have defectors or people who are apparently independent saying different things, and then you have white helmets saying one thing, and it's just, the whole thing is very difficult. Like, it's not black and white. I speak to people about it, and they're like, yeah, well, you know, Assad's just a monster, so we have to be arming these rebels, and it's like, yeah, but are the rebels much better than if you let them get power? You know,
yeah. I mean,
if you let them set the rules for everyone else. I don't know if it would be a bloodless revolution. I think it would probably be quite awful as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that like the politics of the area is essentially being forged by investments into these groups, which changes the balance of power and causes more conflict. But I can see basically like my viewpoint on like the validity of things coming out of these areas is the same. Like I don't disbelieve, but I don't see like any concrete enough evidence in order to like draw conclusions. So I just basically don't trust anything that comes out of these zones.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like to hear what
subject. I try not to say anything definitive one way or the other, because I feel like no matter what I believe, I'll probably be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, how can we ever really know?
Yeah.
Like, specifically.
The thing is, like, you can go too far down this rabbit hole where, let's say, we were watching a video earlier on that was someone was trying to, this complete idiot was trying to prove that the Manchester bombings didn't happen, and or bombing, sorry, and it was just completely stupid. It's like, oh, look at this. There's no footage of the actual explosion, or oh, look at this phone. It's recording the floor. It's like, that's not evidence. That's just, you're just combing through a moment that's been, you know, a horribly traumatizing ordeal for a lot of young, like, little girls, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just trying to make out that it's not real, and it's just, I mean, it's awful and in very poor taste. And at the same time, I was watching it and just thinking, I think this person's ill. But at the same time, if anyone wanted to do any of this stuff that I haven't seen, you know, with the media, it's so easy to manipulate that you can make someone believe anything.
Yeah, it's like it's the ultimate cynicism, really, as well. I mean, if that
it's pretty weird to think this way.
If that person, you know, hasn't got like some issues that they need to work through or something, and that's the reason they're making videos of that caliber.
Yeah, I'm also trying to get at the fact that if a government wanted to make this stuff up, they probably could as well.
They could do it a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, they could do it better.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm trying to get at, and not very in a clumsy way.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's you know, scary. That's the world we live in. You know, you can just, and you see things like did you see the Adobe? They had an Adobe press conference a few months ago, where they had this. They were showing off this technology where you upload, let's say, an hour of someone speaking, reading an audiobook or something.
Right.
And let's say you can make Stephen Fry say anything.
Oh, okay.
You just type a sentence in. can make them say incriminating shit, and it sounds convincing enough, you know.
Sounds real.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you just have lots of Trump speeches, or Sam Harris goes on about it quite a lot in his podcast sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, you could just download some of these and cut my voice and make me say something like, you know, really like
heinous.
Yeah, exactly. Just try and discredit me that way, or anyone could do it to anyone.
Is there any way to identify the?
You need a lighter as well.
Oh, that's alright. Go through the emulations, or like the copies, essentially, or are they like perfect replicas?
They sound quite convincing. I mean, what they're just looking for every kind of sound, I think, and then kind of stitching it together.
So it's enough that like
a
layman would be like pretty convinced by.
Yeah, I think that they said, yeah, it sounded quite good. They just had an example on stage, so obviously these things are always portrayed as well as they can be.
Yeah, sure, yeah. You want to make
but it sounded quite convincing. So it was something, I don't remember what the exact example was, but it's something like this guy says, oh, I'm sending this message to my wife, and I realise I've said something awful in the middle of it. Or it's like, he's just playing around with it, so making him say different things and typing it in. So, because you have this recording, and then if I recall, the program shows you what it thinks it's saying, and then you can just move words around or change them, delete them, and it just kind of does it on the fly.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, very powerful.
Kind of scary though at the same time.
Says, yeah, if you put a few hours of your speech, you just get, you can just write whatever you want, and it will try and voice it for you with that person's voice, stitch it together. It's like just the sounds that your mouth makes. Like so, I think if you just had 3 hours,
blow me away, man. Yeah. Like the levels of like pattern matching and intelligence they can actually perform now, with machine learning.
I mean, that's what was genius. Do you remember Cassette Boy?
Yeah.
That's kind of what was genius about that, because he used to cut things up and make them say, really, like the old Harry Potter stuff that he did. Just make them say, make Stephen Fry say really dirty shit.
Yeah, he was really good at it as well.
Yeah,
he had, like,
that's
great timing.
They've just had an automatic version of that now.
Wow, that's mad. I'd still watch Cassette Boy over that though any day.
Yeah, I mean it's designed, isn't it? It's probably needs to be better again, but
I guess it makes sense though. I think the thing is though, it's like more than likely, that technology is just going to essentially be a demo for something that's more advanced that's coming down the pipeline, because that's how things tend to work a lot of the time. Google, like their DeepMind project.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're producing so much stuff out of that now with artificial intelligence and machine learning, and a lot of it's like like audio interpreting and also generation. So they've tried to. So you remember like Microsoft Sam and all of that, like the voices that they had for like reading out things on the screen.
Trying to do a better one of those, or
like a very, very human one.
Wow. So how can we make this intonation perfect?
Yeah, and they construct the waveform on the fly as well. So it's not done from a sample, and it's not done from a recording. Essentially, it's just that they can generate the wave, like they can control digitally every aspect of it. So they can get the computers set the parameters to emulate a voice.
Wow.
And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. This is like science.
Really, just, imagine if they were emulating a set of vocal cords. It's like, we've just kind of X-rayed. I don't know. This is going to sound horrifically unscientific because I'm not scientifically minded. But it's like we have, you have neural networks and stuff that it kind of maps in a very simple way, like exactly what the brain does. And they're just trying to do the same thing. Like, vocal cords move in this way, and we're just going to do the same thing.
Yeah, you're building a model. I mean, that's the phrase they always use in science. I mean, I am kind of explaining this a little bit off the top of my head because I haven't read about that in a few weeks, so maybe I got some of the details about it. But I listened incorrect. But I listened to the samples they generated on their blog, and like I was
how convincing was it?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I was very impressed. You could still tell it was a computer, but it was.
That's harsh.
It was smooth.
Probably bomb that while it's still there, because bomb that bit of tobacco.
Yeah, they were basically they were basically producing them on the fly, and they sounded really good. They sounded human essentially. It was natural, because like one of the most distinctive things about like Microsoft Sam and why people love using it on YouTube videos for their characters and stuff like that is because
character there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you hear it instantly, and it's got that very janky way of talking that's like really like
it's really
cut, essentially. All the syllables are really choppy. They've eradicated that, basically. You know, it's like...
Smooth it all.
Yeah, it
just
doesn't
some anti-aliasing on that voice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, man. You know, they've done so much more over the course of the year. They did a model called a differentiable neural computer, which was incredible because
what does that do?
Again, it's been a little while since I've read about it, so I'm probably going to get the specifics a bit wrong. But my understanding of it is that it basically it gave it working memory, so it would give it pieces of information, and if those pieces of information like stored context or something that was useful, it would store it into. Not normally, it's like it'll go from like a piece of code that's like functioning on the software level, like straight down to the chip and run on the hardware level and execute. And I think the idea was that they'd put like a little buffer in between that space that could store contextual information. So when the code is compiled, it can check the context. So basically, these computers were given the ability to remember things. Yeah, I just described that really badly, but that's the most important thing to remember, is that these computers were given the ability to remember things. So they could get them to map out like London tube stations and things like that, and like ask it to go like through certain steps, through certain stations, you know, doing certain things because, like, say there was like construction problems or whatever on some of the lines. And you could ask it questions while it was like through mid-route and things like that, and it'll infer from the conversation you've already had, like what you're talking about, like which station you're going to and stuff.
Cool.
And they're using that on Google's basically Google Assistant now. That little feature.
Yeah. You say, oh, how do I do that? And it just knows that's what you mean.
Yeah, the example it is
how do I get to this place, mate? Because the thing is, people are not perfect machines, so. You know, it's been tested with a lot of sample voices of saying like, "Okay, Google, how do I cook pasta?" And then they kind of like they put it out into the real world, and it's like, "Oh, hey Google, I need to go to hospital right now." This, you know, how do you make it react to that?
Fuck? I don't know what to do.
It's like Google's not grimy enough to create these situations and anticipate every single fucked up voice there is in the world.
Can't imagine the grime as well as we can.
Yeah.
No, the example they always use is like, you would ask about the president, you would like go, who's Donald Trump? You know, it'll come back with like Donald Trump information, and then you can be like, and how tall is he?
Oh yeah.
You know, so it'll figure out in that sort of sense. So it's more conversational, the interaction.
To this. Yeah, that's nice though.
I mean, that's what we're getting to.
Everything's so convenient. That's the problem. It's too easy.
Yeah, think about it. One day, man, like this technology is going to be so good that you're essentially just going to talk to a computer.
It's like, oh, you're right, mate. Can you schedule this appointment for me?
Yeah. You know, that'll be how it works. Like you will use the structure of human language to generate the interface, because language is an interface. It's how we trade information, and you know, a computer will be given a name, and then you know, like Alexa, for instance, for Amazon do, you know, and when it has a defined name, it's an entity in your house that you can communicate with, you know, so you just shout out to it and speak to it as normal, and the software will be advanced enough at that point to understand and do whatever the hell it is you're asking it.
They might even start trying to develop personalities and stuff at some point.
I
start analysing the tone you use when you speak to your assistant, and then it will respond in turn. So you'll be like, oh, just schedule this, and it'll be like, yes, you know, whatever, it'll just do it. But if you're like, hey Alexa, it'll go like, hey, and you're just like, hey Alexa, can you set a timer for 15 minutes? It's like, no problem, boss, 15 minutes. You know, it's like, hey, just want to raise with you, it's going to be 3 minutes till your alarm rings, okay, thanks. And you're like, yeah, thanks, Alexa. You develop this, like, really stupid little cringy... They just have, like, off-the-shelf, like...
shoot by Alexa.
yeah, well, that's just... Some people want to have a shitty grin, but then you could just be like, set timer for 15 minutes, and it'll go, yes, sir. You know, whatever, it'll just sort of do it. And then you have some people who are like, hey, it's like... Hey babe, you want to set the timer? And they're like, yeah babe. I don't know, I'm not going to keep making examples of like shit people talking to their personal assistant, but like, I think they could make it go that way just because it's going to make people attached to their robots.
You would have to be able to personalise it as much as possible. Otherwise...
it's like putting a shit voice on your sat-nav or, you know, whatever.
You're kind of like...
novelty.
It's weird, but if you mark my words, like if a piece of technology gets intelligent enough for it to exude characteristics that you would expect in a human personality, like people are going to get very attached to those things.
Yeah,
Like super attached, because it's how we work, you know.
Would they end up in the uncanny valley of like personalities?
Yeah, it'd be like having a digital
it's trying to be
dog.
A real, yeah.
It's like going to be strange, you know.
It's like I'm speaking to a low resolution, non-sentient person. Like, how is that going to make you feel?
Imagine trying to program that shit, though. Like, honestly, that's what blows me away. It's like I'm gonna define all of the information and attributes that are required in order to capture the magnitude of a personality, and then after you've done that, it's like we're going to have to spend time basically tweaking all of these parameters in order to understand what personalities they bring forth. Like that's a monster task.
It doesn't surprise me that some it's people who are good at looking at systems and not thinking about things on an emotional level.
Categorization, I think. Yeah. It's like, you know, they spot patterns and they categorize, and they do it to an incredibly detailed level, to a level that most people are not capable of achieving. Seeing the, you know, it's like looking at the details and seeing more details, and then some more.
You bring you know, Jordan Peterson down, you sit him at your desk and he looks at your work and says, that's incredibly high resolution, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the way he describes things, isn't it? It's your resolution of reality, like how much detail do you perceive, you know? And I think that's actually a really, I think it's a really cool way of describing it, because
it's interesting. It's got a ring to it, and it you know, it's quite true to what the feeling it gives. It's like this: you have a high resolution view of the world, you have a nuanced perception of what happens around you. You score high on openness.
Yeah, it's like and there are a lot of things happening around us all the time.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's just whether we like stop to pay attention to them or not, really. Because we're incredibly good at like filtering things out.
Yeah, man. Like that emoji movie, I've already filtered it out.
It's
not
like gone.
About that at all.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. I just flushed it. It's like, I was watching that in incognito mode on my brain. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. I don't remember it.
I like that. Incognito mode for my brain.
I'm not answering for this later.
I'm not paying this price.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. You're not getting in my memories.
Yeah, exactly. I watched this through an Oculus Rift, which is basically a brain condom.
I've got to keep a digital STGs away from my brain space.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going full cyborg just yet. Transhumanism isn't going to touch me right now. I'm not that progressive.
Virulent light waves are going to fucking get into my brain.
Yeah.
Shit.
I may be able to feel electromagnetic waves like with my hands, but my brain's got loads of viruses and fucking pop-ups and toolbars like installed on it. And it's just really
Imagine that shit, man. It's like getting, can you imagine how horrible that would be, getting adverts downloaded into your brain?
It's awful. Someone just sold this Google Glass into your face.
Yeah.
It just leaves it charging constantly. It's like,
yeah, it's like, what if you got a virus for your brain-computer interface, you know, where it's like, what stitches your brain to the internet, and it's like you're just getting pop-up ads in your like field of vision all day, shit like that.
Wow.
It's like you literally can't see where you're going.
That would be so weird.
Yeah, it'd be fucked.
And the way you like power yourself, because it's like you invent a battery that subsists off biomass. So you're just constantly like eating a really high-calorie diet, it's just like burning fat food, like just to power all this equipment you've got installed in you.
Yeah.
You're just like draining yourself as a battery. People start getting cancer at 35 or something because their body's just exhausted from constantly recalling themselves. It actually makes sense.
Fucking drain all the electricity out of your body and kill yourself. I'm not sure we generate that much.
It's just like a really efficient battery that just drains you.
If it worked off of heat, like blood heat, I think that would be cool. That could feasibly work. You know,
it's like eating your body and you're just like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would use them though if it was gonna like
it's a bit like a tape
basically rot you away. Yeah, you know, you just start aging like 1.25 times as fast.
We are getting cancer at an astonishing rate now. I wonder if this has anything to do with it.
Oh man!
But you think about the whole mobile phone scare, and that's kind of gone away. It's been long enough now. People are just like, there's not really an issue with it.
People were pretty convinced they were getting brain cancer, weren't they?
Yeah, tumors and stuff. But, you know, maybe with the old phones, I mean, probably not, but...
I mean, as far as I understand, you know, radio waves, it's a non-ionizing form of radiation, so it can't physically harm you.
Yeah.
Like, and we're talking, like, a law of physics, so
Yeah.
You know, it's like come claim your Nobel Prize if you can prove that phone caused you a brain tumor because you've basically changed our understanding of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, it's
yeah,
like
you've actually broken the game, and you can
yeah, you broke the game, mate. Like what?
It's like the universe.
Hacks or brain tumors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's a maverick. He's just bent reality to his will. This guy's crazy.
But
it's like, what more do you wish for, boys? And you're like, world peace. And he's like, bends reality in that way. It's like everyone's gonna stop being a dick. Says it with that much conviction. Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. I saw this thing. Someone posted some circle jerky shit on Facebook the other day, but it was quite funny. It was like, something like world peace. Every militia on Earth puts their weapons down after hearing something like Katy Perry. Humbly ask everyone for peace, 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 or something like something like that.
yeah. I think I know what you mean actually. Yeah.
It's like everyone just needs to just open their hearts and forget about it. And basically everyone listened to that and went, Katy Perry is real. Changed my mind.
I wonder if she genuinely believes it's that easy. Do you reckon she does?
To be honest, I didn't even really know the official quote. I just saw this thing and went, ha ha ha, yeah. I just closed it. I think some of these people, I think she probably does. She just lives an incredibly sheltered existence, and she hasn't put very much thought into this stuff because it's depressing and it's not really very helpful. And she's probably very high-powered in other ways, she's kind of more in tune with her career and her immediate environment.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot of very privileged. When you live on that end of society as well, or like let's say you go to universities, like you are exposed to the most, how do you put it? Not passive forms. It's like the best you can get of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be exposed to extremely high quality people overall. They might be spoiled and stupid, but they're not going to kill you, or they're not. They're all quite well put together people. So she
well
probably
educated,
just
well mannered.
Everyone's like that necessarily.
Yeah, you've never had any interaction with people who are actually just actually awful.
Yeah, I think it's very naive. It's a nice way to feel, but it's very naive to think that
everybody's just going to love everybody.
Some people who grew up deeply cynical
or damaged,
Yeah, exactly. But it manifests, I think, in a form of cynicism when you become purely utilitarian in your interactions, and you just want to get. If you know you can exploit some situation or someone to get something that you need, you'll just do it because you don't give a fuck. Like you've just been brought up somewhere where that is the norm, and if you don't do that, you get wrecked.
Well, yeah, there's usually some motivating factor, which is that like you lose face, or you make yourself look like a coward or something like that.
Did you listen to that thing? I was trying to speak to this other guy we know about it the other day, and I forgot. It was from some podcast, and I thought it was really interesting. It was something about people in Chicago having this culture of there's a lot of violence with young men, and a lot of it was to do with you can't really stand down, or you're going to be the bitch, and then you're going to get a lot of shit. So you've just got to there's an emphasis of keep escalating situations.
Really?
But they were talking about I don't know if you'll know what I'm on about. It's like people, when a certain type of insurance ran out or social care, a lot of hospitals in these ghetto areas of Chicago basically closed down because no one could afford to pay.
Right.
So when people the death rate in these areas skyrocketed because imagine if you got stabbed, you would have to wait for an ambulance to come get you from a rich suburb and then drive you back there.
Oh my god!
It's a lot further, so the death rate was a lot higher, and that's what a lot of
oh, that's awful.
I don't know how true and complete a picture it is, but that's what I heard. Something that's why there's quite a high toll in a way of statistically there's a very high toll of black on black young male crime, and it's because a lot of them who come from pretty impoverished areas and that are kind of more likely to die if they get into a bad situation like that.
Wow.
So that's kind of what it kind of boosts the murder rate in a way. I don't know. I'm not sure how.
That's very interesting.
To be honest, you have to be stabbed in the first place. So I'm not saying it's the only reason. It's just that I'd never thought of that before, and that's actually quite sobering. It's fucking hell.
Yeah, it's awful. All of the wheels of society essentially sort of
Yeah, sort
creating
of
a chain, like this chain effect that just leads ultimately to misery, between people.
Yeah, exactly. More people dying, and yeah, I don't know. I hear that stuff, and I think I'm pretty fucking lucky.
Yeah, we live a very
We're in
nice
a
life,
peaceful
really.
place. Just the fact that we can afford to come out here, it's like not money wise, but safety wise, that we can just come out in the middle of the night, find this spot in the middle of nowhere. No one's here, and it's actually pretty like relatively close to civilization. It's not, if there was any kind of emergency we needed to get like to a hospital or something, it's actually close as fuck.
Yeah, that's true. And you'd get like, world class treatment basically.
Yeah.
I mean, the NHS might be on its knees at the moment, but they still save lives.
Yeah, that shit's depressing, man. Like the whole man. I look at my feed and all this Labour stuff, and in a way, I feel very cynical about Labour in many ways. But then I've looked at the Tory manifesto, and wow, it's just appalling.
Yeah, it's like the way you phrased it earlier is perfect, and it's like they let the mask slip.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's like just letting a little bit too much evil,
isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit too much evil just peek out from behind. It's like
it's like, do you guys not give a fuck? I mean, it might be we have to conserve this amazing conspiracy theory for posterity's sake. It's just amazing to think that maybe they're just losing it on purpose. Because the thing is, like it was smooth sailing. It's like I'm going to go for a hike, and someone's going to give me some bionic legs. It's going to be a race to the top.
You're in a race with like some like I don't know some little girl who just has to crawl up there. Yeah.
This mountain is not wheelchair accessible. It's like, and then you go, well, I'm just going to try and test these by jumping off this cliff and see what happens. It's like, oops.
That would be a smart move.
It's like, I don't want to win because I don't really want to climb the mountain. It's a lot of hard work, so I'm just going to sit down here and just take a shit in front of everyone.
Yeah, maybe because they're really falling off pretty hard, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like here's the demographic that votes for us. We're going to murder them.
Yeah, we're going to attack them
make sure
directly.
They're cold in the middle of winter. It's like how can you ever believe that was going to give you good PR? And even everyone knows that no one expects you to actually follow what you write. You just say some shit that people can go, oh yes, I believe in these values.
Yep.
And then kind of vote vaguely into where you'd like the country to be steered without the kind of social contract in a way. The expectation is that none of this shit will happen. Like you're lucky if they make at least 25% of it happen, or they like half do some of them.
Yeah, well, normally that's fine, don't they? So.
But then these people are like, yeah, this is what we're aiming for. And it's like, why would you say that? Just say you're aiming for something better than what you're going to do, and then it's like transparent. It's like, yeah, we just are going to destroy. We're just completely destroying welfare. We're cannibalizing it. Like the welfare state isn't going to exist anymore. And actually, in some ways, like on a very cynical level, that can appeal to me. Sometimes, but not. I don't know. I just looked at it, and it's like I can't stand by that. Like I can't allow them to do that because no one's going to benefit in the long run.
Think about the damage it'll do to society.
Yeah, a lot of wealth inequality. Like it's going to strengthen these things, and that's just a recipe for disaster. It's just a recipe for unstable countries. Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't really want to live through. And you look at the other side of things as well, and like all this fucking Marxist thought. That's what I don't like. That's kind of why I couldn't bring myself to vote for Labour as well. Is you look at a lot of the people, the different shadow ministers. A lot of them are fucked ideologically. They're just like, they are complete ideologues. They're coming out like, calling, going to communist rallies, calling people brothers and sisters and stuff like that. It's like, saying, and then it's like on TV.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a shame I can't remember what his name was, but I remember seeing a lot of footage of the shadow minister of the economy or something. He's just going to socialist rallies, and people have, and what was it like Corbyn quoting from Mao's little red book and shit, like in the Houses of Parliament, stuff like that. It's like, what are you playing at? Like, this is not trendy. This is actually deeply offensive. It's like, I'm just going to read you a passage out of Mein Kampf, and we'll get back to it. It's like, you should have been laughed at. That's why it was a laughing stock. Like, it's like, yeah, we've got all these posh twats on one end, but a lot of this shit is like quite outwardly wrong. It was quite funny. I remember seeing this thing. I think it was like some troll shitpost online, but it was like, yeah, the best way to get into Corbyn's good books: kill lots of people. And it's true that whenever you see him campaigning for someone, it's like some mass murderer or something. Calling someone a good bloke, it's like, yeah, he killed 100,000 people. He was a pretty sound bloke. I read all his books. It's like, yeah, steady on, Corbyn. You seem like someone I'd like to have a beer with, but when you start talking about this shit, I'm a bit worried. It's like, I'm a bit concerned.
Seems a bit extreme.
It's like, I might just sell my soul next door, and then we have the fucking, the whiny, shitty Lib Dems who aren't going to do anything, and I'm like, yeah, have my vote. Throwing it away.
You cracked some good jokes at that
no,
interview the other night.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
He was pretty funny, I have to admit. He had a bit more personality than the rest of them. Amber Rose got absolutely murked.
I didn't watch it. I feel profoundly exhausted, to be honest. I quite like a lot of it.
Well,
like
how much politics can happen in this country in such a space?
Exactly. I feel a bit burnt out on it, and after the whole Trump fanfare for ages, and yeah, he's a dickhead. But I don't know. He is kind of funny. He's a cartoon character, and it's great. I don't know. It's just that yeah.
It was entertaining for a while.
And then
to an extent,
you have to deal with it, and it's like, yeah, he's a bit of a moron.
Yeah, he's not getting anything done for America.
No, and also that he's the one who he did kind of break a lot of his promises. People who voted for him, he's like, I'm going to bring jobs back to the Rust Belt, bring industry back here, and I'm going to foster a more isolationist country with closed foreign policy. I'm going to stop this expansionist wars. I'm going to stop spending money on bullshit that just makes situations worse. I'm going to stop causing needless violence. A lot of it, he was saying it in a selfish way. It didn't resonate with people. And the funny thing is, you look at a lot of like progressive leftist media, and they're quite neocon. Like a lot of them. The only time Trump was getting good press was when he was like bombing the shit out of terrorists, and then suddenly they're like, "Wow, Trump's a true patriot." It's like, I mean, I can't feel bad for like him killing 20 like insurgents in Afghanistan or something, because fuck him,
When he dropped the Moab on him.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, I think it's quite weird. We're living in this weird upside down land where now they're, if you took the same outlets, how long ago was it? 15 years ago or something, when Bush was in office, they and he's like bombing these places. These same outlets would be like massively against it, dumping on him for it and saying he's a neocon and he's like expansionist, and he's
like an imperialist.
Yeah, exactly. He's an imperialist. That's the perfect word. And now, it's like Glenn Greenwald is turning around, going, "Yeah, Trump's actually great." Like, what?
Yeah, I think it is. Trump's a really. He's like a multifaceted topic because like he represents so much of what's going on in society.
He's become a meme, as well. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Is that it's difficult to. You have to separate the man from the meme,
Yeah.
That Kofifi thing was pretty funny because he just.
Kofifi.
Yeah,
Would
exactly.
you like a Kofifi?
Yeah, he's just, despite the constant negative press, Kofifi, and then it's like he just went to bed, like didn't even finish it. I was just joking around, with Doodley, just saying. Just imagine he's like sat on the loo or something, and he's just like, just pulls his phone out and he just starts tweeting like, "Oh, fucking yeah, despite the negative press coverage," and then he like wipes his ass, flushes the toilet, brushes his teeth, and goes to bed. Just forgets.
Wakes up in the morning and it's like the most successful meme.
Yeah, and then he just says,
of the week.
Yeah, it's funny, and that's the whole thing. Is that, he actually sort of he was decent about it. He was like, "Yeah, what does that mean? Up to you to find out." Winky smiley face, whatever. He just kind of owned up to it.
Yeah, he did handle it pretty well. That's what he's good at doing, though, man. He's good at handling people. I don't know about the country, but I think that the skills that he learned in business, basically, that's managing people, and intimidation also comes in use a lot more in business. And this is essentially how he approached the election as well in his country. He portrayed people as characters, which highlighted all of their weak points for him to make fun of endlessly.
So funny.
He basically character assassinated all of his opponents. Yeah, expertly. Jeb Bush is a mess.
Ooh, and then he's massively bullying. He's they're at these national televised debates, and then Jeb Bush is trying to get a point across passionately, and he's like, "Ooh, a bit more energy. I like that." So massively sarcastic,
just humiliating,
destroying him. Yeah. He's like, "Ooh, nice one, small man.
Ooh, well done."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like really condescending shit.
Yeah. I can tell you were born 22 days too early. Ooh.
But this is why I wonder if there's been, because there's been a lot of people being fired from his administration so far.
Yeah.
I think it's basically like if you deviate from what he wants, like even slightly, you're out.
Well, but yeah, it's weird because the amount of leaks coming out of the administration, I think they probably. I don't really want to stand up for it because it's pretty bad, but at the same time, there might be a reason that the administration is doing that because they know there are a lot of people who are actively working against him who work for them, and they're just trying to like purge him. But it's a bit, a bit Erdogan-y, you don't want to get that Erdogan smell in your sweater because it'll never come out, and your cats are going to start bad tripping and vomiting. It's not that Theresa May smell.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Finally
bringing it back round.
Shit! Boris Johnson, get out of my brain.
Boris
fucking BoJo.
Yeah,
oh no, BoJo.
BoJo horse I just imagine
comes down in his magical parachute naked. It's like, oh fuck.
Giving himself the biggest wedgie of all time. Yeah. I'm just imagining BoJo with his little pistol, and he's like, I'm turning you into a cat, and I'm going to make you a little bed in a cardboard box with a sweater, and it's going to smell lovely. And you're like, what? Why is he mentioning the smell? Just watch him like rubbing it on Theresa May's neck for 3 days. She's like sweating.
This is disgusting. This is so wrong. No.
He's just wiping it. Yeah, exactly. He's just wiping it on her neck, looking over at you. You're like this weird kid in a box looking over at you.
I'm not picturing this man. I refuse to go. I refuse to go to this place.
He's frowning at you with a weird monobrow.
I'm not going there. Stay away from that mental image.
You're not pushing me
down that neural pathway.
I'm just trying to increase your imagination about to 50%.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Over the course of the next year.
That 0.5 standard deviation.
Yeah, I need to kind of make you feel what I'm feeling. Cause
I think Trump's basically a bit naive. Like his whole campaign to me was like.
Was it not 40 Chester? I thought that's what it was.
Well, I mean, I think he, like a lot of the stuff he was promoted for, I think it resonated with people, but generally older people, and I think it's because he what?
I just thought of the best potential Trump meme ever. I'm sorry. Okay, so imagine if it's like you have a thing and it's just a picture of Trump playing the game Battleships, that simple shitty game, and it's like everyone's saying I'm playing chess when I'm actually playing Battleships. So everyone's saying I'm playing 4D chess, but actually I've been playing a different game all along. So it's actually simultaneously saying he's a genius, but it's just that he's a massive retard. Because he's like, yeah, Battleship is more my sort of level. He's like, A9, and they're like, "Whoa, you sound like Battleship. You're so good at this."
You're so smart. Oh.
Yeah, he's great at guessing.
Give him 2 scoops of ice cream,
sorry,
boys.
what were you saying? Exactly. Oh, he hates ice. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Paris Accord. He's like, "Fuck that shit."
Yeah, he's pulling out of the global.
I'm cracking a cold one tonight, boys. The biggest cold one there is.
It's like he hates the planet or something.
He hates ice.
Why would you leave that?
That's why he gets 2 scoops of ice cream. Because he's punching ice cubes in his house when no one's looking.
Right. This is your theory that essentially he left the Paris Agreement because he hates ice.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, people call him a windbag, but he's literally wind. He just hates solids. You said he's a statist, like he's a statist.
He's a statist man.
Statist, yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just like he's literally a gas that's just trapped in this weird physical body, but he hates solids. He's just a war against
Trump gas.
Yeah, he just says, he's like some weird interstellar being.
He's basically a fart at this point. It's like
for him, like ice is just treacherous water. We want to pound that ice into submission.
Treacherous water.
Yeah, you've just deviated from what you should be, which is like vapor.
Can't get loyal water these
vapor.
days, man.
Yeah. You need to be steam.
Oh dear.
Sorry, that was weird. What were you saying?
I was basically, I mean, before that, I was saying that I thought Trump's platform was really naive.
Yeah.
Because all right. So the stuff that he was trying to do, essentially, saying.
No, you feel pretty naive.
Oh, wow! This looks like a very fancy kind of Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those completely non-alcoholic.
Oh, we haven't done our roll call yet. What is it called? Yoani or something. It's like people who drink milk and fucking missionary style only. They do this record roll call or something. These Americans, and they like queue up and they go, "My name." Oh shit! I'm gonna have to take that bit out of the recording. Shit.
Basically, I think that Trump's whole agenda was just really naive.
Yeah.
And it showed his naivety because it's like bringing jobs back to the Rust Belt, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah. It's like.
I mean, let's be honest about it. It's like, let's look at the way automation is going and how the energy industry is changing and how computers are advancing and we're getting on the verge of fucking robotics.
He just goes to the Rust Belt.
Jobs are not going back there.
For everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be better for the country.
You're
if
going
he
to
did
work
that.
in tertiary industry.
It's like, what are they going to do, boys? It's like he can't bring those jobs back. It's not.
No.
It's not economic. It's not cost effective.
Yeah.
To bring them back, and it won't be ever again. Oh yeah, cheers. Yeah, it won't be ever again. You know, that era has passed. It's like, South Park summed it up perfectly, really, with their whole, like, it's a disease brought on by looking at the good old days. It's true. It's like, you got to let that shit go. And basically look to the future and go, look, what's the cutting edge? And, like, what should we be trying to grab for tomorrow? Because that's...
and how can we not...
That's how you build a prosperous country, is by looking forward.
Yeah.
You know, not looking back.
Yeah, without being blinkered as well. That's the problem I've had. That's why I felt a bit disenchanted with a lot of the left, because it is so blinkered in many ways. It's so like they're blinkered on purpose, and you can't have an honest conversation on certain taboo subjects. The right is actually very similar, but when you're...
The honesty is the most important bit as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not speaking honestly, you're not really communicating.
Yeah, at this point I'd try... It's like such a cringy way to describe yourself, but I'd just try and sound like a centrist libertarian or something.
Yeah.
Because, what else can you... And soft libertarian, I don't really go for...
You're not like a hardline market.
Yeah, I'm not fucking ANCAP, It's
Yeah.
like, fuck that shit. Have you seen like, a lot of that? There's like a whole ANCAP thing on YouTube, and it's just a bit...
I've read a little bit around them, but I don't really know.
Yeah, they're just kind of, it's like... Yeah, people just pay for the roads. It's cool. If you want to live here, you just kind of pay for it, and you got to work hard, and,
But it's like, to me...
So the whole libertarian edge is quite nice, because it's just like, leave me alone as long as I'm not hurting someone else, but they're kind of... It's quite radical.
How does that concept not immediately... Like, pretty much almost instantaneously, like, turn back into a government? Because it's like, you're going to have some people collectivise in order to organise how that money gets spent and how to make it fair.
That's exactly it. To be honest, that's...
And pretty soon you have a fucking committee or something. That's a government.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what I hate referring to. It's pretty... It's probably the most highbrow thing I've mentioned so far, but there's a good Family Guy clip just completely destroying this. It's like, why do we have money? And he's like, I'm just banning it on this country or something. It's like Peter Griffin. I don't remember how it works. He just basically bans the concept of money, and then he's like, but now I need to have a way to symbolise, exchange of goods and services. If only I had one convenient item that we could objectively measure and use. It's just like, and he just like creates money and then just creates the whole concept of a government and like why people choose to lead themselves in this way. Just completely destroys any sort of like anarcho anything,
Yeah, it seems very poorly thought through to me, because once you look to like a long period of time rather than an immediate view, and you just think about how human beings interact and the things that we need to do, which is trade. We have to trade goods and in order to survive and to find roles within society.
I think that probably the biggest thing you can point to is like, just look at anarchist groups. They will naturally have a hierarchy that will develop. They can't really not have a hierarchy, because some people are naturally more dominant than others.
Hierarchies are innate.
Exactly. It's a biological thing.
We're from apes, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we definitely are hierarchical animals. There's no doubt about it.
Otherwise, why doesn't your boss come in at work one day and see you sitting on his chair and you say, "Look into my eyes. I'm the boss now.
So see what happens.
I'm going home. I'm taking your car home." It's like,
see if that dominance hierarchy doesn't exist.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to break the rules, and they're like, "He's a maverick. I like that. I'm going to take a 20 grand pay cut.
You're getting a raise.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking a pay cut. You're getting a raise. Here are the keys to my car. Have fun."
Probably gets like really dreamy about it. Like, I remember when I was a little fucking asshole like that.
I used to, like, I went on about this for a little while. I basically was saying I'd like to just like invent a new fetish that's called financial cuckolding, where I just basically make it this guy's fetish to just give someone money. It's like, you're working so hard for all that cash, and I'm spending all of it. I'm gonna buy so much vinyl. You're gonna jizz.
I think that's a real thing. I'm not.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that actually is a real thing. I think I've heard about that somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
twisted
as some of that.
Exactly. Twisted as that idea is.
It's like I just have to give him like monthly phone calls. It's like some weird like sadistic shit. I'm just like, ooh, yeah. Where have you put Oh, poor boy. Why have you only put £2,000 into my account this month? You
Didn't
little
we come up with that
fucking
idea
boy.
when we were out on a walk?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we did.
Oh
yeah,
man,
we were
we're
talking
so
about it.
fucked. It's like it was.
This is hilarious because we were in the middle of like some really happening part of town, and we were like, "Wow, imagine if you could just like, you could just skive off people by like appealing to this weird masochistic sense of guilt." You're like, you walk up to someone, you say, "I'm going to make you my financial cuckold now. There's nothing you can do," and they're like, "Oh, okay." They like you see they get a little boner through their trousers, and you're like, I'm just gonna completely ignore it. I just know you're wanking off to this, but I'm making a lot of money off it.
Like detail level. You like can't handle it.
I love it. I think you're like, you're not in the right headspace to enjoy my spicy memes.
The spiciest memes. Our memes was the spiciest memes.
Yeah, exactly.
Triple X all day.
Boris Johnson getting his little gun out, turning you into a cat and putting you into a cardboard box. Theresa May.
BoJo. I don't want to imagine that again. Like, we've been down that path
several times.
It was a filthy path, you know.
Let's bring it up.
It was a grimy corridor. I don't want to go back down it.
That was filthy.
When you're playing like a horror fucking game and it's like the lights are flickering and there's all the garbage on the walls from the demons. It's like
I watched some idiot do it on YouTube for clicks, but I'm not going to do it myself.
I know better than this.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we got way off topic again there. But it was like
that's all right. Well, let's just make a new
topic. I was talking about how technology is basically shifting it. Those jobs are never going back to the Rust Belt, basically.
Oh yes, that is actually what we were talking about.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the same thing in England, really. It's like I don't really see us ever having any like large scale manufacturing going on in like the north again.
I don't know, man. I like the idea of a northern powerhouse. Maybe it's just I like the sound of it. I'm just being an idiot.
It would be killer, and the people like.
I think Manchester can do it, man. I think Manchester is.
Northern folks like it. I think like they're pretty good at it. Like very pragmatic, handsy people.
Yeah.
And it would be seen as a good thing to do as well. Like there'd be a lot of support in communities to like go work, things like that. So I think like a northern powerhouse is actually possible. It's just that no one's going to fund it. It's a really nice talking piece, though. It gets brought up a lot. People like to drop it in when they're struggling. I wonder if Theresa May will mention it now. She'll just be like, "Fuck, I've got to deploy the northern powerhouse rhetoric, otherwise I'm going to completely sink this."
Yeah. It's just like it's like we don't really want to do all this hard work, and this is political poison. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to kill old people so you don't vote for me.
Do you think she's capable of negotiating Brexit effectively?
I had a lot more faith
from what you've seen recently, because that's
no.
Yeah, I was kind of like
that's the problem. To be honest, I thought she was actually kind of legit for a while. I don't know. Nothing too bad happened. I was like, you know what? She made some stupid not jokes, but she made some bad decisions as Home Secretary. The whole thing about NPSs was actual horse shit, and they couldn't enforce that. Where they were banning new psychoactive substances, so legal highs, but also trying to ban NOS. And I can see why you'd want to do that, because you go out on a night out in London and you see loads of canisters, and it's like horrible. It's a greenhouse gas as well, so it's actually fucked for the environment. It is kind of fun, and I get it, but I can see why it's bad, but just a lot of that was poorly thought through. But then she came out, and she, it's literally just like, be quiet. It's kind of like having a good prime minister is like having good neighbours. This is going to sound like horribly cold, but you just don't really notice them. They don't actively annoy you. What's that? Oh no, we've got one each, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of describing it.
You gotta get that ding on, dude.
Yeah, you don't want to notice the running of the country, do you? You want it to go smoothly.
Yeah. It's like a phone, man. It's like you just want to, you just get annoyed when it doesn't work. You're like, I know what I want it to do.
It's like when you think about it, actually, it's like all the laws write themselves. All the services maintain themselves.
Yeah, it's like
You do your little bit.
At the end of the month, I'm gonna look at my paycheck. I'm gonna fucking hell, fuck. Is it that much? And then I'm just gonna get on with it because I like having schools. I want running water, so I'm just gonna kind of deal with it.
Have a look at that little portal you're carrying around in your pocket and see loads of other fucking ape creatures with more resources than you. It's like,
but honestly,
welcome to the human race.
Yeah,
but what a fucking race, man.
I hate that it's such a taboo, though, to say that. I think naturally it's normal for people to feel, for some people to feel hard done by globalism, because I think it is kind of a fact that some people have got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, and I
it's like I pay a lot of taxes. My state of living is actually worse, so I feel like I pay a lot for the services I'm not getting. And if you live in an impoverished area, you'd have a very, very different view of. Yeah, it's like we were talking about this stupid whatever Katy Perry or whoever it was earlier on, like being very naive about this whole, you know.
I can't remember. I was listening to someone the other day, and they were talking about globalism from a historical perspective because we've had it happen once before as well, which is actually
Like with the Renaissance or.
No, it was basically before like the Nazis came in that these things were happening, and it was actually like a lot of the stresses that globalization was putting onto Germany, for instance, is what Hitler was using to blame the Jews and to basically say they were the source of the problems for.
Yeah, well, in a way, the funny thing is that I think actually there was kind of a German economic miracle. There was and that was when they started their own banks and stuff. And so I don't really think it was necessarily. It probably was a mix of globalism, but also the fact that they'd lost a war previously.
Oh yeah, no,
and so everyone had just kind of taken advantage of them. And
I just mean that this is why it's like they kind of went back to like this very nationally focused economy, and were really particular about it.
But it worked really well. It turned a small fucking country. I mean, okay, Germany's not tiny, but it's not huge. And at that point, it just lost a big war. So you wouldn't think they'd be ready to like take on Europe again, like on two fronts at the end. I mean, I know they didn't do a great job.
What was it, the 4-year plan that they implemented basically and that was where they basically built all of their war resources, you know.
It's crazy, yeah, and they just and you know, they if you think of it from in a cold way, they did pretty well. You know, they managed to destabilize Europe heavily and kill a lot of people, and no one could do anything about it for a while. You know, it's like. We look at a lot of stuff now, and these insane, horrible regimes are at least not like taking on entire. Well, they are taking on entire countries actually, but let's say there are international forces that are generally more stable that can take them over. Like the US is just so overpowered now that you just have to hope that whoever's got the keys to the big red button is like.
It's crazy how much they spend on the military as well. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
I can see why they do it though. You know, they talk about a lot of soft power options and stuff, but this is hard power, I guess. You just want to be in a position that like no one can. You don't want to be there again. The thing is, if the states decides they want to start putting people in death camps, which I don't think will happen. I hope not.
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean, you know, for a country that's basically whole propaganda material is oriented around being the land of the free. Yeah, you know, it's like basically painting themselves as the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
and having a very self-critical media as well. You know. Incredibly self-critical.
And we know, you know, anybody who's like got a modicum of interest into like global politics knows that America aren't the good guys. They've got just as much blood on their hands as if not more, at least in the contemporary theatre than a lot of countries, and other than a few.
Yeah, I'm not that positive about them, but at the same time, they're not taking over their neighbours and like enslaving them and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it. The society, like the average person and the way that they live their life, is one that seems to embody being relatively peaceful and open-minded. And I think that's, you know, Western culture has basically been born of a long tradition of hard thought and logic, all the way from like the Greeks, essentially, with like philosophy, you know, the Hellenic way of life.
Going full circle.
Yeah, and it's
that's
like
who we are.
You know, European history is massively influenced by all of that, and so we are to an extent as well. And you know, democracy is a system that is basically, you know, a legacy of that whole train of thought that we operate under, and it defines the.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it defines the values and the attributes that make this, you know, this place nice to live in.
Cultural
basically.
Values. Yeah. It's just it's pretty frustrating that we now have this kind of. I was going to say unspoken rule, but it's almost codified by this point that we have to lie in a way. We have to be dishonest and say that every culture and every ideology is equally good. And actually, you can just say no, because if every culture were equally good, there would be an equal amount of desirability. You know, it's like I would want to go somewhere. You know, it's like the direction of people flowing from one country to the next is fairly uniform in many ways, and many Western liberal democracies are extremely desirable places to live internationally. Whereas I don't really want to live in Zimbabwe. You know, I'd rather not. And it's not, I think, and I might be just ignorant, and it's because, you know, we have more money and stuff, but I don't think it's solely because of wealth. I think there's also, it's because it's a cultural aspect.
Okay.
Like, we generally have, like, a stable culture which is more or less fair to everyone. There's not open violence and discrimination. You know, there aren't horribly repressive laws against anyone. Even now, you know, we kind of, to a degree, we have certain communities in Western liberal democracies that are essentially waging guerrilla warfare on our own citizens, and and they're all part of the same demographic, but on a demographic level, because, you know, not all of them are doing this kind of stuff. We're leaving them alone. Whereas actually, if you look at many countries, even peaceful countries, places that we would see as quite peaceful, you know, in Cambodia, it's fucking awful. They're like going, you know, Buddhists are going around massacring Muslims. I don't know if you've heard about this. Just like
no, I haven't.
Butchering them with machetes and stuff. Yeah, just like a genocide. Just killing them. And this is what happens. Is that, you know, you wouldn't think of it, but they are literally going around and just like, you know, if you're a Muslim family, it's like, watch the fuck out, because you might get shanked, like, by this.
Wow.
Yeah. So it does happen. Some of these places don't take any shit, and I think a lot of countries, and they've had a lot of refugees from different places coming in, or that came in a couple of decades ago. I don't remember. I don't want to say too much because I'm probably wrong. But they had this whole, I think they had a refugee situation, but they were just like killing people by this point. It just started like very violently and suddenly. I'm sure there's been discrimination before, but now it's serious, and they've had a few things in the news about it. Obviously, some news channels love it because it, you know, if you can portray.
I suppose it's going to suit someone's agenda, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, like having something about violence happen, but
yeah, I've kind of come to a point now where I do accept it. I did get a lot of visceral anger at the. I don't like the whole hypocrisy of as soon as something bad happens, you know, like what's happened tonight. Like, lots of people like to virtue signal a lot, and it's like, oh well. Not just let's not jump to conclusions, which is it's kind of a cliche, but at least it's fair. It's a fair thing to say. But when it's just a lot of apologetics and like, oh well, we shouldn't be doing this and that. It's kind of like if your wife got beaten, and it's like,
it comes back to speaking honestly, you know, and having actual discourse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we have to be able to do that, and I think it's because it takes a certain level of bravery to do in public, so people are kind of scared of it, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just what disgusted me a lot before was that immediately what you get in the media is everything about who the real victims are. It's like, oh yeah, Muslims are the real victims of these attacks, and it turns into this whole, even things when, you know, it's kind of like if we had some Anders Breivik type, and then I started going around, it's like, yeah, but you know who the real victims are? White men. Like, white men are real victims of this because it makes us look bad. It's like, because someone of my demographic did something awful, you know. And I don't like that. And it's a bit like, you know, maybe get over yourself for a minute and realise that a lot of people, you know, and I saw this thing on BBC where they had this woman like who was wearing a hijab. It was kind of, and it was a more conservative one, you know, it's a black one, so it's not like, you know what I mean. It's like a bit. It wasn't the niqab yet, but yeah. And she, you know, and I just thought, oh yeah, this is like PR stuff. And then you always get these like people saying like, oh, the media's so anti-Muslim, it's awful and all this stuff. And it's like, actually, a lot of what I see is the opposite way around. But anyway, you know, I was watching it and my initial reaction was a bit like, oh yeah, it's just some PR stunt again. But then you watch it and she's visibly upset, and her daughter went to this Ariana Grande concert and all this stuff, and she's like, that, you know, that could have been the last time I'd said bye to my daughter. And I look at that and I can't, you know, I don't think that's fake. Like, you know what? This is why I think our countries are desirable in a way, is that because we can humanise people. We're not going to go around and murder her and her kid with a machete because they're part of the wrong demographic.
Yeah.
We try and give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
We try to understand people as human beings rather than just labels.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's very important. You know, it's fundamentally important to having a good, stable, and fair society. But at the same time, we don't want to push ourselves in a corner, paint ourselves in a corner.
Groupthink is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Like in any format, like you know, it is identity politics. Like that's just the phrase that we're using to describe it in this particular generation. But I'm sure it's had others in the past. But essentially, whenever you're categorising human beings, for whatever reason, and you're tying a morality to that.
Yeah.
So you're saying whether someone is evil or virtuous. You're creating a whirlwind for dehumanization. You're creating a drive for that, and I think we're kind of naturally hardwired to do that, which is why we're tribal in a way. I think there's some biological predicate as to why we behave this way. So it's something that's actually in us, and that is what enables us to make the reasoning that we do. But it's maybe also kind of a double-edged flaw to it, in that we categorize other people into some label that describes them, and then
it's tribalism, isn't it? Which is kind of
you stripped away all of the detail of who they were as a person.
Yeah.
And instead, you can just have an avatar of what they represent.
It's probably just how our civilizations evolved, is that we formed small tribal communities. So a lot of humans are still kind of on a cognitive level, you make quite a big distinction between, and it's also, I think maybe it's unhealthy to try and there's some of the weaknesses that we have, I think, in these Western cultures, is that there's a conscious downplaying of the concept of the other. Like there's this whole appeal to the fact that we're all really the same deep down, but they don't realize. I think
that's a good thing to strive for, in a sense.
It's a good thing to strive for, but now at this point, it's got to the point where even admitting that other cultures don't necessarily have these values and won't give others the benefit of the doubt is seen as bad. Like you have to say that everyone thinks this way, which I think is categorically untrue.
Well, it's asking you to assume that everyone has the same value set as you. Basically, underneath it, it's like because when a Western person with certain a certain upbringing, a certain value sets goes, I believe they're a good person. What they're really saying is that my perception of the world and how I understand it and all the values that define that, I believe this other person also lives by those.
Yeah.
Right? And that might not necessarily be true, because if this other person was brought up in essentially a different world to you, with very, very different people, you don't know that they would behave exactly the same as you.
Yeah, it's like, they just want to have, it's like, they just want to live their life and have, and do all this stuff, but like, you don't know that they might just think, you're subhuman.
Yeah, they might do.
You don't know that, and it's quite patronising to assume that everyone's the same just because you say so. And if you lie about it for long enough, it'll, this is the sort of thing that's just a bit.
I mean, personally, my overall view is that it's like, there are definitely some cultures that are incompatible, right? Yeah. Currently, I'm not saying that they're not going to change, because like I saying, I like to take a long-term perspective, and I think that maybe it's just growing pains, and actually that like as generations, that's what I really hope anyway, is that as generations sort of mingle, you do actually get a cross-pollination.
Yeah, because at the moment, as the generations go on, it's getting worse,
Yeah.
Which is quite bad.
Yeah, but I live in hope rather than in cynicism.
That's nice,
Because I just think it's like the world, like saying world history, like we mentioned earlier, right? It's very easy to get negative about things, but it's like you only have to look at like how shit everything was.
Yeah, and how generally
stuff has got better, and it's like in the short term, it's super easy to focus on this stuff and just go, everything's wank. But actually, the steady undercurrent of human beings is progress.
Yeah.
We've actually done stuff.
It's pretty heavy though, man. Like, you just look at this pointless.
I'm not saying it's not complicated.
It's
fucking complicated.
It's just horrific and pointless. And
super complex.
This is not a. This is no longer something that you can rationally explain away and say, this is a freedom. Because you have freedom fighters, you have different things. Like it's kind of there is a level of normalcy to retaliatory violence, and I don't think that the West has clean hands. I think a lot of the stuff we've done is bad. Speaking as quite a big monolith, a lot of that stuff has been bad without a doubt, and I think there is probably a bit of a double standard in terms of portraying these Western history in a more critical light than because you focus on that. There's an emphasis on the fact that the Western world was kind of evil. It's like the whole slavery thing and stuff. It's like, that was pretty fucked, and it was done on an incredibly efficient level. It was done on a global scale, which made it a lot more.
And no one's denying that either. That's the key thing. No one's denying that.
But no one really talks about the slave markets and.
But you're not looking at it in context to like every other nation that was doing similar things.
Yeah, exactly. Like taking African slaves to the Gulf states and stuff, or like, the massive slave markets in North Africa. It's like a lot of this trade had been going on for centuries, and it still basically exists today in some places. And we can't really, no one really wants to talk about that because it's difficult to point out an obvious villain. You just say, yeah, it's pretty fucked. Like, there's no kind of narrative hook to that story. It's just like, yeah, it's awful shit happens, and it's kind of fucked, and people just kind of do it to each other when they can, instead of like, oh, well, there were some other people who came from a different place, and they were greedy, and they were evil, and they did this awful stuff, and they made a lot of money out of it, and
No, I think it's just human beings, and it's like, yeah, you have to be mindful of your nation's history, and like to a certain extent, I can understand why people feel guilty about it, but I think that the reason they've got themselves into like that extreme situation emotionally regarding those events is because they don't know the rest of world history at that period of time, and they can't see that actually, like, the whole, it's not just like it's never as simple as there being one villain, on planet Earth. That's not. It's just like human beings are human beings. Like we're pretty petty, evil, fucked up little creatures who have done some, devious shit to each other, like throughout all cultures that have existed on this planet.
Exactly. Like, humans are capable of having gravy.
The Aztecs were fucking cutting people's hearts out and kicking them down the stairs of temples, and
and that's the thing. They had very advanced, not technology, but they had a weird fucking culture. But they had nice architecture and shit. They had
opulent wealth.
Yeah.
Even though
interior gardens and stuff. Yeah. It's weird. I mean, you look at this. I saw this thing the other day. That was this high rise in Egypt that had just collapsed and was just hit the building across the street from it. I don't know if you saw that picture.
No.
So it's just these like high rise Soviet style like apartment blocks, big massive grey monolith,
concrete monoliths.
Yeah, and it just like collapsed. It had kind of fallen over and like hit the next one across the street. So you just have this like wonky leaning tower of Pisa piece of shit. And I just looked at that and went, that is the country that built the pyramids. It's like, yeah, that's not going to stand the test of time, is it? It's just like the Sphinx's nose.
Times have changed.
Yeah, you're just going to be like, why is that apartment block wonky?
Where'd all the good builders emigrate to,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what the fuck?
Wait.
Them Jews have got Israel now.
I love that I pull out a smoke and then I get my bottle opener out. It's like, I'm just going to crack this one open, boys. Cracking open a cold one. It's like, that's not what you do.
That's not how that works, yeah, no. Man needs fire. Yeah, I don't know, but basically this, I think the message that people miss is, this is not to say, oh yeah, you're defending like Britain or you're defending Britain's acts during those periods. It's like, you're not, because that's how people interpret it. They go, "Oh, you're saying that."
Yeah, so you're saying it's okay.
You're saying it's okay or it's good, and it's like, no, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying it was okay.
I'm saying it's not a competition.
Saying everything was fucking shit.
Yeah,
like all of it was wank.
Right? If you think your ancestors were saints, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and it's like, especially these people who are trying to claim like basically some sort of like racial, historical, moral superiority. I think that's the best way I can phrase it.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
It's like, well, my race of people are less guilty than your race of people.
Yeah, it's like a pissing contest.
It's like, what? How twisted a fucking thought is that? Can't we all just say we're all human beings? Can we please get on? Like, fuck off.
I just don't really like I think a lot of this point scoring is a dangerous exercise, because when you start looking at it from that point of view, you start seeing some like, heinous patterns, and I don't know, it can just make you into a miserable person quite quickly, I think.
It can lead to very... Well, I mean, what's this? Was it Evergreen? You were saying Evergreen
University? Oh my god, did you see that?
I mean, look at that shit. It's going on in America at the moment, where it's like they've hijacked the whole university.
Yeah, just because the dean's too much of a fucking pussy to say it. It's like, oh, okay, and the administration's just like completely shut the school down. It's like ordering the campus police to stand down and everything. Yeah, these kids are like marching. There's like 70 of them marching into this professor's classroom because he wrote an open letter and said, I don't believe that we should be encouraging apartheid, basically. And they're like horribly offended by that. It's like, well, excuse me, but
what?
Yeah, and this guy is a progressive.
Extremists.
Yeah, and I listened to an interview, and the guy's a progressive, like Bernie voting kind of. He's not some right-wing guy on campus. They're just very extreme.
Oh, they were trying to paint him that way, though, weren't they?
Yeah. It's like, this is hate speech. We're going to get you fired, and the university just capitulated. I think they have fired him just for speaking, and it's just. But the thing is, if you look at Evergreen, Evergreen apparently has something like a 98.4% acceptance rate. It's just...
Well, they just take anyone.
Shit. Yeah, it is literally like the bottom of the barrel.
Very easily manipulated people then, I guess.
Yeah, I think these people just Tumblrites who want to get a degree and who don't really want to work for it. But you see this stuff in the Ivy League universities as well. Like, you know, even The Simpsons is joking about Harvard, Yale and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Think about how rich you actually have to be in order to go there. Like how much money you need.
Yeah, and then they're talking about privilege and stuff, and it's like, well, I can say whatever I want because I look vaguely Middle Eastern or I look vaguely,
and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm black.
I was looking at the statistics.
But your dad might be an oil baron or like, you know. It's not to say that they won't have any different challenges. I mean, it's still a different.
Everybody's got troubles relative to their life.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's denying that.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saying life doesn't suck sometimes, but it's just like being mindful of your position within society and actually how good you have it.
Exactly.
Like, show some gratefulness, basically. You know, like I was saying, I was looking at the statistics and I can't remember who did it. I don't want to embarrass myself by even guessing, but it was a good. It was a good reputable financial institution that had basically like come up with these numbers, and they were saying that it was like $32,400 US puts you in the, if you earn that annually. That means you're in the 1% globally.
Yeah,
you know,
which is not very much in the States.
No, it's not. That's a low wage over there.
Yeah.
And it's about the average one here in Britain. You know, if you convert it into pounds.
It is, yeah.
And so yeah, that means you're like top 1%. You know, world wealth. So,
and I think that's dragged up considerably by the banks in the UK as well. If you take London out of the equation, then the average salary in the UK drops like tremendously.
Yeah. I imagine it's a lot lower actually. It's probably into like the, you know,
it's like mid-20s,
12 to 18k bracket sort of thing.
I think an average salary in the UK is something like 23k.
Yeah, it is about 23, 24.
Is that counting London? Might be actually.
Yeah, it will be.
Wow, fucking hell. Yeah, so it probably is like. I was looking at some stuff on the BBC a while ago about you know, there's a crisis in care, and people get paid something like 15 grand a year, and you are looking after old people who need a high level of care. You know, you will literally be wiping someone's ass as part of your job sometimes, and they're being paid 15k.
Yeah,
it's like, I would not do that. I would stack shelves.
Yeah.
And this is the problem they're having, is there's no career there. They're just saying there's, you know, people used to do it, you know. And also you can't afford to be
you've got to make that
in a couple where someone exactly. Even as a couple you have to work, both of you have to work your balls off, you know. Or whatever your genitals off, I guess.
Yeah. That's
Listen to that. I was so PC, man. That was like I already caught it. I was like, no, not everyone has balls. Sometimes you might feel like you have a vag. You should be whatever emoji you want to be. Don't worry.
You're going to be on that Evergreen campus pretty soon,
Yeah, I'm going to be protesting my. I don't know.
You'll have your sign, you know.
I'll be sitting on my beach chair with my balls hanging out like Trump was last week, and on my sunbed talking about World War III. Making the references now. Now I'm building the culture.
I'm gonna keep saying things over and over again.
I'm gonna keep making jokes about Trump on a beach chair and Luigi's massive dick, and that's all it's gonna be for the next 12 years. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Even when you get sick of it, I'm just still gonna be like stimming in the woods, going yeah.
I'll be like ready to throttle you, you know.
Yeah. People are going to hear me eat Papa John's in silence for half an hour, and that'll just be the episode. It's like, please support my Patreon. This is shit. You have one patron who pays you 200 quid a month to hear you eat Papa John's in the woods. And you go, wow. Wow.
Tastes so good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really blown away. It's like,
I wonder. There's probably people out there who would listen to that. Probably people who would end up on deep into YouTube, you know, and it's like some guys just posted it on.
Someone who just reviews it. No, you deep into YouTube stuff is someone who listens to this and reviews it live.
Yeah, I guess so.
They had that whole thing of it's this guy who just has an empty apartment and he like meditates and he sits and smiles and looks at the camera on his webcam on his laptop, and there's this whole thing that I think you got onto deep onto YouTube where it was someone just walked in, tried to break into his house, and just walked in. And he just turned around and smiled at them. And they were like, "What the fuck?" And just left. It's like this empty apartment. There's this guy sitting on the floor smiling at a laptop. It's like, I was gonna burgle this place, but this is kind of creepy.
This is pretty creepy. Yeah, no, like, yo. Wow,
like, this is weird. Yeah.
Imagine being that creepy, but you scare a burglar away.
Yeah,
I'd feel pretty bad about myself. I'd be like, "Fuck, I can't even get robbed." I've reached like a new level of low.
I think it was something. I think he went out on mine in the comments somewhere, either on YouTube or on Reddit, and said, "Yeah, I just didn't know what to do, so I just smiled."
Fair enough.
Caught me off guard. It's like, yeah, okay.
It obviously worked for him. I mean,
yeah.
If you think about the result, you know, it was a net win.
Yeah, that whole viral thing where a guy breaks up a fight by walking between people and eating a bag of crisps completely diffuses the situation. Have you seen that shit?
What, eating a bag of crisps?
Yeah, it's people on the tube like starting to have a real fight, and he just it was like this whole meme for a while. I think it was last year or something. They're like crisp man or something. He just basically stands between these two people who are squaring up to fight, just eating crisps. Like doesn't look at them. He's just like it completely diffuses the situation because they're just like, what the fuck? Look at each other like that. Just I'm just gonna go sit down now. Yeah, so I'm gonna sit down and we're not gonna look at each other anymore because that was weird.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone's like, this guy's a hero.
Yeah, weirdo saves the day. Go that person. That's actually genius. You know, it's like you have a reason to have like no eye contact.
Yeah.
I wonder if that guy was just like tripping balls or some shit. He's just, like, on the train, he's like coming up really hard on something. His brain's like working like a little computer. He makes the most logical decision he can think of.
Maybe. Or someone who'd been trained in this kind of thing. I don't know. Deep operate.
Darren Brown.
Yeah.
Darren Brown eating crisps.
Whoa. Hey mate, I'm gonna make you my magic tricks. What is that book? And I'll be like, I'm reading the Da Vinci Code. And it's like, what page are you at? Can you show me your bookmarks? Like, I'm at page 193. It's like, what's the fourth word on the fourth page? Is it this? And just hands them a piece of paper and they look at it and it's actually that. And it's like, what? They're like, whoa, how did you do that, Darren? It's like completely diffuses this. Whoa. How did you do that, mate? This guy's going to punch him in the jaw. The guy who's going to punch him in the jaw is like, wait, show me. Oh my God. Yeah. It says dishevelled, and it actually says dishevelled in that book. What?
I think we figured out his new TV show, basically. It's like, this is it. We like follow Darren Brown around on a train while he diffuses fights with tricks.
I saw this really...
That'd be like a good level of tension. This is a genius TV idea.
It's a bit like, a lot of this magic stuff is actually kind of cool, because how do they do it?
Yeah, because he employs a lot of psychology as well. You know, he exploits flaws in our visual field and our audio field. Basically, he creates illusions, which is when you actually stop and you think about that, it's like, wow, fair play, and that's why they work on TV as well, because it's just like it's basically how your brain just processes the information. You just can't see it.
The thing is, when it's on TV, it can kind of be they're framing it in a certain way so that you would actually never spot what he was doing.
Oh yeah, probably.
In real life, it's quite I don't know.
I have to admit, I'm speaking about this in like a quasi-factual way, as I do with most things, because it's. I'm pretty sure I read his book and I had a general idea of how he talked about it. He talked about it from like human psychology.
Well, I think it does make sense that he would do that in person. I'm just talking about, on his TV shows, there's no way they would show you that, the process behind any of it. Well, this guy pretended to murder Stephen Fry at a concert, and we just hypnotised him somehow. And it's like, what did you actually?
They had this show on Channel 5 that I was obsessed with when I was a kid. My brother was as well, actually, and this is one of the few things me and my older brother bonded over was this TV show. Yeah, because there was only a few things we really liked in common, and this was one of them. And it was this guy, and he'd wear like a black face mask, and he'd draw 3 white stripes down the centre of it.
Okay.
And he was a magician, but he basically revealed how all the magician's tricks worked. And that was the reason. Cool. And that's the reason why he'd wear a mask on the show, because people fucking hated him because he was like giving away all the secrets.
Wow.
So he was like getting threats and shit.
You might need this as well.
Because of how seriously they take guarding secrets and like the magician's trade and stuff like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't reveal your tricks.
And he was basically for a TV show. He was just like exposing it all. Wow. But it was actually fascinating. It was fascinating because the way a lot of like very complex magic tricks work, like I guess it's not actually.
Are they quite complex, deceptively simple? Or?
Sometimes they are, yeah, and other times they're actually ingeniously clever, and make use of all sorts of things like mirrors, optics, stuff like that, in order to get them to work. So you have to have quite a good understanding of physics as well. You know, you need to understand how the visual system works and the physics around light and things like that. And a lot of these people are quite aware of that. And then the sleight of hand, you know, having like incredible dexterity with your with your fingers and your wrists, and you know, I've never been able to do that, like slide a card up my sleeve or whatever. I just think that's like super cool that people can do that. Yeah, it was a great show. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'll try and figure it out. Maybe we can like stick it in the description if I can remember the name of it, because it is actually a fucking sick show.
Mask guy magician traitor.
Mask guy magician dude shows you how magic works.
The traitor of magic. That's what he was called. Stitches get snitches.
What the fuck?
Stitches get snitches.
Stitches get snitches, but if snitches get stitches, then...
Before stitches were cauterization, we've established this already. If snitches get stitches and non-snitches get non-stitches, then non-snitches getting stitches in North Korea is kind of not the way it's meant to be. Do you know what I mean?
I think on that note, it's probably time to end the show.